What the fuck is that? Whatever we want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. Hey, what's up, guys? Corey here with another episode of E4 Explicit Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything. Today, we got Jonah Gomez, my man from Austin, Texas.
ATX. What's up, man?
ATX?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, I thought you were about to say ATL. I was like, what?
Nah,
Why are you
nah,
lying to the
nah,
people?
nah, we're the real A-Town.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
Probably been around long. No, has Austin been around longer than it? I don't know.
I don't know, but numbers don't lie. Stats don't lie. We're the best. Look at the best cities to live in.
Nah, you're right. Austin is booming.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
How long have you been out there?
My whole life. I moved out to D.C. in 2010 and just moved back to expand the business in 2017. And I love home. I love it. I love everything about Austin.
Wait, so you were born and raised in Austin?
I was born in New York City.
Okay.
And moved to Austin, Texas, like when I was an infant.
Yeah.
But spent my whole life pretty much out there until I was 25. And that's when I moved to D.C.
Yep.
And then I came back and I left D.C. in 2018. And I don't think I'll come back. It's too cold, man.
Austin is tight.
Oh, what? Everything. The people, like the food, the lake. I mean, if you love water, I mean, it has everything. The only thing we don't have is a beach. But other than that,
It's almost like Chicago. Chicago doesn't have like a real beach, but when you go there, you think it's we thought it was the ocean when we went there.
Oh yeah, what is it called? Lake Erie.
Lakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my god, it was so big. We're like, yo, this is the ocean. There's no way.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, everybody during the summer it's hot.
Yeah.
But you get on your jet skis, you get on your boat, and you go out there and you just have a good time. So.
Well, your story's crazy because I know you were working at Blue Duck. Were you valet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the Park Hyatt.
You were valet at Park Hyatt, Blue Duck in DC, and you were in school, in business school, right?
Yep.
And
Squeaky Clean.
Squeaky Clean is basically your thesis, right? Or no?
Yeah. So I was studying hospitality, and I went to Nova. That's why I moved out to DC originally. And in my marketing class, I was told to create a project. And that's where I started the original concept of Squeaky Clean. And after I was done with that project, the professor gave me like a standing ovation. She was like, "You need to do it." And at that moment in time, I decided to pursue that. And I got a job at the Park Hyatt to kind of hold me over because business wasn't coming in 100%. And after about a year about being in the Park Hyatt, I gave myself a deadline. I quit and never looked back. And I dropped out of school as well. So.
Yeah, I know. I remember that shit when you were like, all right, I'm done. Park Hyatt's done. Like
a year. I gave myself an exact year. I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of people there really made me realize that you either deal with it, deal with being unhappy at your job, deal with being like satisfied or being complacent with what you have. But in reality, like one thing that I've learned through this whole experience is that you make life what you want it to be. You create your story. And if you want to be a boring story and, do the same thing and be like a robot, well, I could have stayed there at the Park Hyatt. And one thing is that if I ever fail, I can guarantee you I can go back and get that same job that I did when I quit. So I'm not looking back now. Like I've told you, man, like I have like over 150 employees throughout all my different ventures. Yeah. And I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. I love it. I love being an entrepreneur, man.
Blessed.
Yeah. That's why I'm out here right now, starting a new shop.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So we're opening up a new shop in Rockville. We're expanding our mobile services. And we'll be doing ceramic coatings, glass parency, window tinting, paint film protection, wrapping. We'll do it all.
That's crazy. Yeah. So in Austin, what do you do? Because you can do your shit remotely.
Yeah.
So like, what do you do in Austin? That's not. Do you have a detailing company out there too, or do you just?
So I started in 2017. I expanded the services out to Austin. Austin's home, like I said, and I had started the business in DC. And I have a luxury auto detailing spa, which is SC Auto Spa, as well as our mobile unit, which is Squeaky Clean Mobile Auto Detailing. So what I did was I created two different brands. I have a mobile unit, which is a Squeaky Clean, and then I have a luxury spa, which is the SC Auto Detailing Spa, and that's what we're expanding out here. And I've been doing that for about a year, and now we're expanding to doing PJ. So we're doing private jets, boats, $200,000 cars, $300,000 cars, and it's word of mouth, no marketing.
For real? You're not doing any marketing?
No marketing. Zero. I've never done marketing.
What?
Never. Zero.
Just word of mouth.
Word of mouth, quality, making sure I do good customer service, making sure I'm on time. I created a solid online platform that people think I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on doing, which is the website that I built myself. And yeah, man, I believe that if you have a firm product, a solid product, I feel like you can do it with. I mean, it may take a little bit longer, but being a small business owner, I didn't have the capital to spend money on different advertising, like, firms or doing that. So I had to kind of make my money stretch as long as I could, invest the money back in my employees, myself, the business, and it's kind of paid off. I'm looking at doing different avenues of marketing now that things are a little bit more stable, but when I first started, not a zero.
Damn, dog.
Zip.
That's crazy. All right, so if you're speaking to, if I came up to you and I was like, hey, man, what would be the three things, what's three things that you would tell me as an entrepreneur coming in? I mean, you done no marketing. You did everything by yourself basically until you started hiring your team and shit. But what would you tell me, or what would you tell your, to their 27-year-old self?
Well, it's kind of like the podcast that, I started, the Vision, Hustle, Grow. Those three things. If you have a vision and you hustle, you'll always grow. And those are the three things right there. Vision for me is like one of the biggest elements of being successful.
Sure.
Because think about walking around blindfold, you're not really going to get far. You got to know where you're going. It's just like what I call it, like the energy PS. So whenever you go and you don't know where you're going, like today when I came over here, I didn't know where I was going. I put my starting location, I put my end location. And for me, that's what life is. You got to know where you're going. And along the way, you're going to hit detours, traffic, road bumps along the way. But as long as you know where you want to get to and where you're going, nothing's going to stop you. So that's like the vision aspect. The hustle aspect is what a lot of people, and that's what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Is that people aren't willing to put in 60 hours a
day. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that's what it was. And for me, the hustle part, and it's a good hustle. It's not like the pushing hustle. It's a good hustle. Is waking up, getting straight to the laptop, falling asleep on the laptop, making business moves, trying to get the business growing. Because at the end of the day, if you're starting your business like what you just said, nobody's going to do the work but you. And if you just sit there and procrastinate and keep all your ideas in your head and you don't write it down, you don't check it off, then you really don't know what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, hustling is a good way, and then growing. But another thing aside from the three is knowing the power of failing. And I failed plenty of times in this business, but as long as you learn from your mistakes and you correct those mistakes, you're always going to grow. Yeah. Because if you're not learning, you're not growing. And I think a lot of people are afraid of failing. And I think that's why a lot of people don't start their business, because they're looking for this perfection. And we live in this imperfect world. There's no such thing as perfection. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's one of the things I tell every entrepreneur, anybody who wants to start, because they're trying to get everything like perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Failure is your friend. You have to fail, because like you said, you're not going to know what to do differently or to do wrong. And the hustle part is big, because I feel like, and I've had this 100 times where like I've sent people on video shoots, or I've brought somebody with me and I've let them have responsibility, and like no one is ever going to do it like or care for it as much as you do. Oh yeah. So like, how important is it to kind of like make your culture like, go down the ranks and make sure everybody has bought in?
Yeah. Well, it's important though. And that's one of the things that I do. And I feel like why we've been successful is that because if you don't understand the vision of where I'm trying to get to, then you can't be a part of the team. Yeah. So I'm opening up a shop here with one of the guys who's been with me for 4 years. Now he's getting a piece of ownership of that shop. So if it wasn't for him or the guys that are here, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So for me, it's like important to kind of like reiterate and talk about where we want to be in 2 or 3 years. Because if these guys are really wanting to grow with me, well, then it takes a team effort. Yeah. And they have to know where we're going. It's like any sports team. Any sports team that everybody wants to win a championship at the beginning of the season. Sure. But it has to be a teamwork. It has to be camaraderie. The Spurs killed it for so many years. They may not have had the best players, but why? But they had team chemistry. Yeah, they had a coach who, implemented this teamwork. This, it may not have been the nicest basketball, but at the end of the day, they were winning championships. And that's what every great business leader has to be. They have to be a coach, and they have to be able to lead their team. They can't just sit there in an office and expect, hey, delegate. Like, oh, you do this. No. I like to lead by example. I still go out there and get dirty with detailing cars. I'm still, talking to clients. I'm still engaging in day-to-day business activities. I don't think of myself as too good to be able to do any of that stuff, because the moment you do that, then you lose control, I feel like.
No, you're 100% right. I don't know how many times, like, if I'm directing something, it's the same thing in film and video. When you're on set, like, I would never tell an actor or have someone else on crew do something that I have never done myself, or wouldn't get in there and do right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, you got to lead by example. In the beginning, you said, Jonah, right? And I don't, like, I know you as Jonathan Gomez. Yeah. Or John. Like, I don't know you as Jonah. So can you please explain to me why you call yourself Jonah?
So it was kind of like a whole rebranding. It's part of like my whole rebrand. My parents and like family and like some of my close friends, like they've called me Jonah since I was younger, and I've actually come into some issues with the whole Jonathan Gomez being a common name, legality. I got pulled over one time and almost arrested because my name. I had to clear it out through my social security number, and it was an entire process. So after that, it was just easy. No, I didn't go to jail. I was able to prove that I wasn't that Jonathan Gomez. But it's not the first or second. It's probably like the third or fourth time in high school too, man. Like I've had like situations. Yeah. So the whole Jonah thing is like a whole rebranding of who I kind of want to be, in the sense of like I feel like it's a fresh start. Okay. When I came out to DC, I was in a dark place. I think I've told you this already. I didn't know where I wanted to do. I was lacking vision. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. So now this is like me. Like I'm back home in Austin. I don't hang out with the same people. I really, focus on my business, focus on what I need to do, focus on my vision, my wife, my beautiful 10-month-old daughter. And Jonah was just something like different, something new. And now, like when I was on set last week for the Honda commercial, people would be like, Jonah. And like I knew, like, it was like, all right, that's me. Whereas awesome. Jonathan, really? It was like, actually what's up? Yeah. One of the talents, it was Jonathan. So whenever they called him, I'm still getting used to it. And I'm like, they're like, no, the talent. I'm like, aren't you Jonah? Like, yeah, that's me. So it takes a little while to get used to, but it's just part of the whole rebranding. I mean, businesses go through rebranding, and I wanted to do like a personal rebranding myself.
I love that.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people. Muhammad Ali. Yeah. He changed his name. I forgot what his name was before Muhammad Ali.
Cassius Clay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like my whole rebranding. And
he hated that name too. He was like, "Yo, don't ever call me that."
Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, there you go.
Yeah.
So and the John, it was just too common. And like the thing is, like, I don't want to be common. I want to be different. I want to be unique. And when people hear Jonah, like, or Jonathan, how many? You probably have like 4 or 5 Jonathans in your contacts.
Oh my God!
See, now you can change it now.
Yeah,
Jonah.
I'm changing to Jonah now. Well, I got you in there. I think it's something else, like something funny.
Fabi Chulo?
Yeah, something funny, something crazy. So like, I'm probably gonna leave it, but nah, yeah, But I actually have like a bunch of numbers for you. Actually, I got Jonathan Gomez 1, Jonathan Gomez new, Jonathan Gomez new joint. Right?
I gotta keep it fresh.
I know.
Gotta keep it fresh.
Always keep me on my toes.
Oh man, yeah. So that was really it, man. Like I think that we should always kind of like self-reflect on ourselves, because like I tell people, like, examples like of businesses, and I'm going back to like business analogy, sure. But if you don't like stay up with like times, like Blockbuster, like with the whole, going out of business, and Netflix, you're going to close. And so like for me, like that was kind of like my whole being reborn again, and creating like this whole different mentality, this whole different mindset, stuff that I really lacked before with Jonathan Gomez. And now like the whole Jonah is like fresh, and I'm even thinking about changing it legally.
I was gonna say, that's my next question was, did you do it on your DL? And you're like,
I haven't done it because the thing is like it's just been difficult with like getting married and all that stuff at the same time, and then like the paperwork for Luna and the birth certificate. So I haven't done it because of that. But now, whenever I answer the phone, it's Jonah. And then some people are like, well, was Jonathan there? I'm like, oh yeah, this is him. Like, some old clients. But yeah, man, it's a process, man. It's a process, and I feel like we just need to always be improving.
I love that. Does Matilda call you
Jonah? Yeah, Jonah.
Jumped on board. So.
Yeah, she's been calling me Jonah for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. for a while. Because my mom, when she introduced my mom was like, no, he's Jonah, not Jonathan.
Interesting.
Yeah, my mom hated Jonathan. What? So I think what happened was my dad's name is Tancredo, so it's Tan. Mm-hmm. And so,
that was amazing. I'm so glad we got it on camera. You need help?
I got it. So I think what happened was they put Jonah, and then my dad's first 3 letters are Tan. So I think they put Jonah Tan. You know. that's my like
that's
broken down way.
reasoning?
Yeah, that's my reasoning.
Oh, man. So let's segue into your wife Matilda and your daughter and everything. So you got all these businesses. You know, you got 100 plus employees. You're killing it. You're doing all this stuff, and then you got to get married. You had a baby. Like, you just had a baby last year. Yeah. So like, how's that been? Like, has that detoured you or made you even like hustle, grow, and have a different vision now?
I think my vision has always been family oriented. You know, once I met Matilda, like I knew like she was like the one. We've been together for now 6.5 years, like going on 7 years. And my thing is like I do everything for my family. I've always like my dad was like really present in my life, and I always wanted to prove that to my family. And you know, Matilda, you know, she didn't have her father present, so for me, it's like I want her to live that childhood memory through our daughter. So for me, it made me hustle even more. Yeah. And it's difficult though because last week I saw my daughter once because I was on set for 18 hours a day, 15 hours a day. You know, I leave at 4:30 in the morning. I wasn't getting home till 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. So, it's not easy. That's set life, dude. I give y'all credit, dude. I give y'all credit.
For like most people get paid next to nothing to do that shit just to get.
Dude, what? Yeah, man. They were telling me. I was like, y'all are nuts. But I mean, if you do what you love, like, hey, like 18 hours is nothing. But it was a little getting used to at first having her and not doing it. But that's why I take vacations. Like that's my family time. Like when I grind all year, I'll take 2 or 3 weeks off, you know, here and there, and I'll dedicate that to my daughter and my wife. And now I'm doing this new thing where Sundays is like family day. So Sundays is dedicated to the family, no work. You know, if I have to send a couple emails, I do that either in the early mornings or in the evening.
When they're asleep.
Yeah, exactly. When they're asleep. But when she's awake, it's like, like, that's all I want to do. So it definitely took some adjusting. But at the end of the day, it's all worth it. I do it for them. And if anything, it taught me to work harder, man.
I was going to say, every time you see her, you're probably like, let's
yeah.
go. You know?
Yeah, and like, that's my why. Yeah. You know, that's my why. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I'm having fun. Life definitely has changed. Yeah. You know, we can't just leave her at home like we can Mello. Yeah, you know? So I have Mello, 2 kids. I have Mello.
Mello.
I have a little fluffy 16-pound Rottweiler Bashan. Like,
yeah, right. Mello's
Mello is the reason why I was able to be successful, I think, because when I first got him, that's when I first started Squeaky Clean. Yeah. And I used to have to walk him early in the mornings. And I wasn't a morning person. I'm not going to lie.
Made you get up.
Yeah, he made me get up. And ever since that, man, like, honestly, like, Mello, like, that's why I will not get rid of him. Like, he's an OG. Yeah. Like, that's my dog. That's my dog. Yeah. So I try. I love that dog, but we've honestly kind of forgotten about him a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, bro. The baby, Luna.
Luna just runs the shit.
Luna, I'm like, yo, did you feed him? And someone's like, no. I'm like, oh, shit.
It's like 8 days later. Mello's like 2 pounds.
Man, So he's out with the grandparents now, but yeah, man, it's not bad. Parenting, you gotta have a lot of patience. Yeah, a lot of patience.
Well, you've always been like, even when you had, you know, you and Matilda were just dating and this and that, you always had like a family first mentality. Even it was crazy. Like, just came off you. Like, it was wild. I was like, yeah, I always looked up to you, you know, as like whether you're doing Squeaky Clean or whatever, just hustling. I always was like, yeah, Jonathan is like.
No, man, I appreciate it. It's just that we have to do, like, we got to do it for ourselves. And we got to do it for our families, because at the end of the day, like, those are the people who are, you know, working at the Hyatt. I miss like my first Christmas with my family. Yeah. And that was difficult. So like now it's like I rather like grind all the time, but I won't miss another Christmas with my daughter. Yeah. Like I won't miss like another like New Year's or Thanksgiving or her birthday or anything like that. But aside from that, like I'm just grinding. We have like an awesome nanny now.
Oh yeah. Is she at home or? Like...
Yeah, she's at home. Like she's not doing. We're doing the whole homeschooling thing.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's a whole nother topic.
For real?
Yeah.
Damn, to be continued, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, real quick. I mean, we all saw what happened with the university scandal.
Yeah. No, I'm saying
we all saw what happened. So it's like, and there's some big lawsuits that are going on now.
Yeah.
Because like some of these kids that like actually got the grades to be accepted to the university
aren't getting in. I know it's.
Yeah. And school, I feel like, you know, real quick. I'm not gonna get off topic,
plug it. I feel
like it teaches you to be an employee. It kills your creativity. It doesn't teach you about finance. It doesn't teach you about your credit. It doesn't teach you how to be a good person. It doesn't teach you how to make the world a better place. You know, and in life, there's no right way or wrong way to live. What makes you happy may not make me happy. What makes me happy may not make you happy. And when you go to school, there's a right or wrong answer.
Yeah, you're right. No, it's school. I tell film students all the time. I ask me like, yeah, Shank. I'm like, yo, don't go to school.
Yeah.
I learned more on YouTube and doing than I did 100 times over.
Yeah. I mean, I like to clarify things. I did drop out of school, but I do have a PhD from Google University and YouTube University. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Got that PhD.
Ivy League.
Yeah, Ivy League. You know,
Nah.
and I had zero debt. Debt.
I got debt. So I went to school and I was like, damn, dog. But not. So did you, with school though, they don't teach, even in marketing and business school, they're so far behind, man. Like, we had a client that his daughter was in school at ECU, which is a good school.
Eastern Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big school. They were 7 years behind in their textbooks. She was going to school with stuff we were teaching her dad, and the professor was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, damn, dog. Like, and we don't even know about this.
And charging her.
And charge, yeah. And you're paying them.
Yeah.
To learn shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
And the thing is, like, I don't bash anybody that goes to school or anything like that. Like, that's you. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like we live in a society, like, if you don't go to school, like, you're not accepted. And I used to be like, and like here in DC, that's one thing that I noticed is like really like pretentious. And I just really don't let it get to me, because if I read a book and it changed my life, it's called You Don't Need a Title to Be a Leader. Mm-hmm. And it says about 90% of people wouldn't respect their managers if they didn't cut their checks.
Damn.
So it gets you kind of thinking, like, are people really happy doing what they're doing?
Yeah.
Are people just doing it to tell people they have this position in life? You know, are people actually happy? I mean, my parents have always been in the corporate, in the corporate America field. And my mom, they make over six figures. They make great money, but they are miserable. The other day I talked to my mom, and Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I'm sharing this story, but I was hearing her talk. It was a sunny day, and she's like, oh, I love this. I'm like, what? She's like, I love going outside, like leaving work. It's still sun out. I get fresh air. I'm like, Mom, were you at work or were you locked up? Are
you just getting out the pen, Mom?
Yeah. Like, are you in jail or what? And it's like, when you start to like hear her, like I called her out on it, and she was like, wow, I did sound like I was in jail. I was like, yeah, you just told me you were excited to go outside
and get fresh air.
And you were happy. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, being stressed out. So, but at the same time, everybody's different.
Sure. And
not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can be, do videography.
But also think about, we're not saying like, you don't go to school and then go try to be a doctor.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah.
There's definitely some careers that you have to go to. Like, I mean, if you're a doctor, an architect, or an engineer, a lawyer, there's certain things that you have to learn. But if you're going to school to learn something like Spanish, and you graduate with $60,000 in debt, there's something wrong there. And you're doing a job that doesn't require a college degree, then there's something wrong. And this is part of the system.
The creative and the entrepreneur space is kind of, I think, like the major places where you don't need.
And I don't think, business is not learned in a classroom. Business is learned in the real world. Yeah. And business is learned on 100%. The go. Business is learned from making mistakes. Business is learned from talking to other entrepreneurs. Business is learned by actually doing it instead of sitting there in a textbook and learning, all right, this, and that. Because like what you said, your friend who, the textbooks are 7 years old. Yeah. It's just like in business, things are going to change. Things are going to evolve. And if you're implementing what you learned in the textbook 12 years ago, well, then you're outdated and you're going to be beat by your competition. So, and I think we live now in a day where like kids our age, the millennials, they are now starting to become like more entrepreneurs. They're starting to, do more what they love and kind of like folks stay away from like the whole money aspect of chasing money, and now more chasing like what they're passionate about, what they love. Because our parents, I think from our generation where it's about school, it's about getting the degree and all that stuff. Now it's like, what makes you happy? And I think we're just heading towards like a whole new direction. I
agree. I think it's more now common to be okay. Oh, you didn't go to school? All right. I've never even been asked ever any job, and I've been creative director for multiple. I've been like on a corporate side of things, and they've never asked for, they've obviously asked for a resume, but they've never been like, so where'd you go to school? It's always been like, let me see your demo reel, let me see your work, because that's all they care about. They want to make sure I can do the job that they're trying to hire me to do.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just different, I guess.
And I mean, I'm sure like what you learned in video in film school 10 years ago, the technology is probably different. Editing's probably different. The way you film, all that stuff is, I'm sure has changed.
New cameras come out every couple months. You know what I mean?
Just like cell phones.
Yeah, I mean, the cameras we're shooting on right now can shoot 4K, $600 a piece. 2, 3, 4 years ago, you're spending $4,000 or $5,000 a piece to get some 4K footage. So, you know what I mean? It's changed, and it's always changing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's life. And if you don't adapt to change, well, then you're gonna be stuck. 100%. And you have to adapt to it, because at the end of the day, you know, life is always evolving. Things are always changing, and if you stay stuck doing the same thing, well, then, you know, the competition is gonna beat you.
Oh, you fire me up, bro.
I mean, I'm for real, man. Like, I mean, you have to think about it. I mean, I already talked about Blockbuster. I mean, let's think about things that have gone out of business that we were used to. Hollywood Video,
Toys R Us.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, they were like, they passed on them.
Malls, they said 40 to 60% of malls are going to close by next year. Not 5 years down the road, by next year.
What?
Amazon.
Because of Amazon. Yeah.
How many of you shop on Amazon?
Every day.
Exactly. It's easy. On your doorstep. You're not going to the store.
Bezos, man.
You know, so yeah.
So in all your business ventures, what's the number? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs might think like, oh, I gotta make a certain amount of money, or I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta have a certain amount of like things or whatever. Like, I know family is one of your main things, or is your main thing, is your why. But like, is there a number where you're like, because you're a very like content person. Like, you're not someone that's gonna go buy like a Bentley even if you could.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you've never been like that. So like, is there a number where you're like, yo, I'm good. Like, I'm just good for the rest of my life.
Yeah, so it's funny that you bring that up, because my goal was to retire at 35, and that's next year. And I told Matilda when we were in Colombia in February, I don't see myself like just sitting around like not doing anything. Yeah. And like, retirement doesn't necessarily mean like I'm going to quit working, but I think I've already reached that number. And that number is something that allows me to have a roof over my head, food on the table, and allows me to travel. That simple.
Period.
You know, and that's what I wanted when I first started. Because I think the problem is that when you start your business and you start to make more and more money, thing is, you're always going to want more and more and more and more and more. And if you're always looking for more and more and more, you're never really going to be happy. So I always kind of think back to when I originally started, what it was that I wanted to make and what it was that I wanted to do, and keep myself grounded. Because I sometimes catch myself like trying to. I don't get me wrong. I do always want to improve my year-over-year sales, and I want to make sure that the business is growing. But it's nothing crazy like $10 million or like $1 million. Like, for me, it's more about my happiness. Yeah. You know, because if we're chasing money, I feel like we're chasing things for like the wrong reason. Because we were just talking about like Venezuela. Yeah. Like, right now, what's going on in Venezuela is that people that had money, that money's literally worthless. It's not worth anything. Yeah. So that's why I kind of try to keep it simple, because like they say, more money, more problems. And if you don't believe me, start making more money, and you'll start seeing the money that you owe in taxes. You don't get money back. Like, those are facts right there, man. Like hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of taxes. So like you start to see the problems that come with it. Yeah. But if I had to lay a number out there, it's something that I'm comfortable with, and I don't need $1 million house. Yeah. Like, I don't need anything crazy. Like you said, I don't need like a crazy car. I mean, you saw I pulled up in a little RAV4. Yeah. Right now, it's nothing crazy. Humble. I don't even have a car. Yeah. You know, Matilda has a car. I have the BMW Bike Metro Walk. You know, like so. And my scooter now. Like, I have a little electric scooter, like a little bird, that I take the train to work, and then I do that. I don't need to be flashy. I mean, if you see the people like Bill Gates and you know, Warren Buffett, Bezos, they're all simple guys. They drive their I think, well, who was it that I was seeing the other day? I think it was Warren Buffett. I think he still has a 1999 Accord. Yeah, Buffett still drives like his old ass. And that's the thing, though. You know, a car is not a asset; it's a liability. Yeah. If it doesn't make money for you, then you know you're risking it. So I don't need to be flashy. I just need to be comfortable and be able to do what I want to do and the things that I enjoy doing. And aside from that, if I'm able to do that, then I'm good. Like, I love that. And make sure that my guys are taken care of in my team. Yeah. because it's not about me. Because at the end of the day, without them, there's no me, like I said earlier. And I can't emphasize that enough, because oftentimes when people start businesses, they think it's their business. Well, if it's your business, do it on your own. You know, for me, it's like I see my team as a family. We went out to Bowmore out in Rockville. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's a little bowling alley. Went out there on Friday, had a team outing, had some fun, and
you're always doing. I remember. Didn't you take them to like? This is like years ago too.
Oh, every year.
I know. I'm just saying. Like I remember, like because people will start doing stuff for their employees. Maybe like when they start getting some money, whatever. But you're like breaking bread with these people with like since day one. I remember going on that one day with the couple. Was it Silver Spring that had the Lexus? Like one of your old time clients.
Oh yeah, Karen. We still have her.
Yeah. So like they just your crew was just like they were just like you. They were like enthusiastic. They were like happy that they were detailing a car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about how you perceive it and how you execute it. Because I mean, if they just come into work, it's like, yo, go wash that car. Blah. Well, you're gonna get blah. But if you're uplifting them, be like, hey guys, this is where I want to be. You know, like, hey, I want you to manage cities at one point. You know, we're going to expand. We're going to grow. Like, let's work as a team instead of me being like, oh, this is mine. You know, you follow what I need to do. No. I'm always, like, taking input from them, like, feedback. Because they're the ones that are on the field, you know, and they're the ones that are out there, like, doing the work. And especially here in D.C., because I'm not here in D.C. any longer. So, for me, it's like I value what they say. I value their input. And that shop, realistically, is for them, you know, because they've been wanting a shop. Yeah. And I'm not here. So for me, it makes no difference. But it's really about them.
You can be like super, trustworthy and all this stuff to your employees and the people that you work with. But like, have you ever had anyone that like did you dirty to where you're like, you trust them so much to where?
That's life, man. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
That's a yeah.
Oh, no, that's a hell yeah. I mean, the first employee who I ever hired, I mean, he stole my car and he totaled it. Yeah. He stole and the car had just paid off. So for me, that was rough, but it's all about the lens that you see life out of. I could have shut my business down that very same day, but because of that, that's why I have my fleet now of Ford Transit Connects. Wow. Because of that situation. So that's like the whole optimistic side of me. Like that's the whole positivity. Like when one door closes, another door opens. And if it wouldn't have been because of that, I may still be detailing out of that car. I may not have grown, you know, but I looked at it as a positive thing and I took it and I saw my vision and I just went with it. And the employees that leave, I really feel like I always leave the doors open for them because I'm appreciative for what they have done. Because most of the, and I don't even like to call them employees. I like to call them family members because they are family. Because we spend most of the time with people who we work with more than our own families. And today, as a matter of fact, one of my leads, after 3 years, he ended up moving up about 45 minutes outside of DC. And that's kind of like the whole going away thing that I had on Friday. And like I told him, man, the doors are always open. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for everything you've given. Thank you for being responsible. Because at the end of the day, people are going to, venture off and do different things. And we have to be appreciative for what they've done. And that's one thing that I hated whenever I used to leave a company. Like,
so mad.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, exactly. Like whatever, like, oh, well, leave now or whatnot. And I'm appreciative and I'm grateful for what they've done. And I can't stress that enough. And to show them gratitude, to show them appreciation, that goes a long way with a lot of team members, because we live in a society now where it's too much about me, mm-hmm. instead of like us. And but I really haven't had like any retaliation from any employees or anything like that because it'd be kind of hard because of the way I treat them, And if they do, like. After that first one, I learned, man. Yeah. I learned. I just don't ever let anybody use my personal cars anymore.
Well, shout out to him, though, for growing your fleet.
Yeah, appreciate it. I won't say the name. Dude, I was about to beat him, though. Bro, cut that part out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It was in Gaithersburg. It was like midnight. He took the car, drinking and driving, wrecked it into a pole. He called me. It was on my mom's birthday. I'll never forget that. It was on Mother's Day. And I went out to Gaithersburg and my car was just totaled. And I had just paid for it. Just paid for it. Anybody who has a Honda knows a Honda will they'll go for like 200,000-300,000 miles.
Yep.
And
you're like, I'm good for like another 10 years.
Yeah, I was solid. And then boom, that hit. And I still don't have a car.
Damn.
But it's all good.
You got the BMW though.
I had the X5.
No, the
Oh yeah, the bike Metro Walk, but I did have the X5.
Oh yeah, you did have the X5.
Yeah, the bike Metro Walk is the best. You never heard that?
I've never heard that.
Really?
No.
I learned that from here in DC.
I never heard that.
The bike Metro Walk, yeah.
That's what I need to do. I need to bike Metro Walk.
Yeah, but because the thing is like, the car is like gas, and then here in DC, like parking tickets, citations, these red light cameras. What?
Bro,
we're gonna do a whole podcast on why driving in DC sucks. Like, why it's terrible. Man. Like we were just talking about that at the barbershop right now.
Like, dog, they don't play.
Yo, am I good out there? Am I getting towed?
No, you're straight. You're
all
good.
Right. Just making sure.
No, you should be straight. I remember one year they had that bad winter a couple years ago, and they made over $1 million in 24 hours, and because no one could move their car, but they were still ticketing people. But it's like, yo, I can't even move this joint. Yeah. Like, are you serious? But they got like
that was a snowstorm, like Jonas or something like that.
Yeah.
Shout
out to you.
Yeah. The Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
You're crazy. Yeah. But yeah, man, anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, man, just go out there and do it. Like, quit holding yourself out. Quit surrounding yourself with people who aren't believing in your dream. That's another thing, man. Like your circle. Like, you are a product of your environment. I don't need to know who you are. Show me the 5 people you hang around most, and I will tell you who you are. Yep. And that's one of the biggest things that has led to my success is surrounding myself. I mean, look at this. Like, we're collaborating. Yep. You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. We link up. I'm able to promote what you do. And when you hang around with like-minded individuals who are, working towards their dreams and working towards their goals, well, it motivates you to do your own thing. Sure. As far. But when you're hanging out with people who all they think about is living for the weekends or living a party or do things that aren't helping you become the best version of yourselves, well, then you're just wasting time. And time is one of our most valuable assets, but at the same time, it's one of our most limited assets because we only have 24 hours in a day. And if we misspend that, then we're screwed.
And we all have the same 24 hours.
Yeah, I like to call it the 16-hour law.
What's that?
It's a 16-hour law is that we usually get about 8 hours of sleep, or we're supposed to get 8 hours of sleep. And what is that you do during those 16 hours that you're awake to improve yourself? Like, how many hours are you investing in yourself? So if you're investing, an hour, then you're getting 1/16 of your max potential. But if you're investing 16 hours of those 16 hours investing in yourself, in your podcast, in your film, and whatever it is, well, you're going to get the max return on your investment.
That's good. That's a good rule of thumb. I love that.
Yeah.
Look at you dropping it down, boy.
Hey, I'm going to charge you for that one. All right.
Yo, you done.
Oh, man.
That's good.
No, for real, though. But you have to think about it like that because, it's like a tank of gas.
It really is, yeah.
Like when you're full, like nothing's better than driving with that clean car and that full tank of gas. Hey, but when it's on E, you're like, ooh,
stressed out.
Scared. Yeah. Like, back in the day, E was just for enough, know? Like, now it's like that light comes on, you're like paranoid.
Yeah.
So
I'm good. I can smell the fumes. I'm good.
Yeah. I never thought about that. That's awesome.
We got like 20 miles left.
Yeah, man. And that's life. You really have to see it like that because nobody's gonna put the work you put in. Nobody's gonna do it like you do it. And at the end of the day, if you give yourself excuses as to why you can't be successful or why you can't accomplish something, and I've told you this a million times, my favorite quote, Napoleon Hill, whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. Yep. You tell yourself you can do something, you can. You tell yourself you can't do something, you won't. So either way, you're going to be right. And I see it way too many times with, acquaintances, former colleagues of mine who have the potential, because there's nothing from that makes me or you better than anybody else in this world. It's just the fact that we have the drive, we have the dedication, we have the vision, we have the hustle, and most importantly, we have the determination of being what we want to be and nobody else stopping us from that.
All right, so I got one question. So for me, I know when I started doing my own thing, this is kind of stupid, but it kind of goes back to the gas tank on E thing. What was the time that you were like, all right, it's happening. Like for me growing up, I've always been like worked odd jobs, doing this, doing that, been like struggling here, struggling there, never really go with my money. And then like I would always like I never would fill up my gas tank ever because I most times couldn't.
I mean, I
so I'm like,
trust me, I've been there.
When I like now, it's like for the past years now, I've been like every time I go fill up, I only fill up.
Yeah.
So like I remember the first time that I did that, I was like, and I wasn't like tripping. I wasn't like looking at my bank account right after I did it. I was like, I felt so good, and it's so small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a small, stupid little thing, but to me, it was like, fuck, man, like that. Like I was so proud of myself. I know it's like little, but like, what was like the one thing that you did, and you were like, I can't believe I did that finally, or like I feel like it's, you know what I mean? Like that like you accomplished something personal, not like I went out and bought a house or I did this. You know what I mean? Like something that you've maybe always fought for such a long time that you were like, damn, I did that. I finally did that, and it felt good.
For me, it was quitting my job.
Nice, which a lot of people.
And for those that don't know what job means, you know what job means?
What the acronym?
Yeah.
What?
Just over broke. You know?
It's true.
Have you heard it?
Okay, where you work?
So it was quitting my job at the Park Hyatt on November 1st, 2013, and right before a winter where we got over 60 inches of snow, and making it through. That's when I knew like I was gonna be okay, and only quitting my job with $300. That's the other thing. No savings. I had no savings. Zero. No 401k. Nothing. Like zero. And when I was able to pay for rent for Matilda and I at our apartment, and I was able to get the amount of cars that I wanted to get that people said was impossible, that's when I knew I made it.
That's awesome.
And it wasn't like 40 cars. It was just 5 cars a week, enough to be able to pay my rent and pay my food. It wasn't making them millions of dollars or anything like that. It was simply proving to myself that I'd be able to achieve something that a lot of people told me I wouldn't be able to. And that for me meant the world, because at the end of the day, like, you're going to have a lot of haters. And the more successful you become, the more haters the more people begin to hate. Yeah. You know, it's just like if you look at LeBron James and all these athletes, people are always constantly talking bad about them or creating some sort of negative. They want to put something negative towards their name. And for me, like at first it was difficult, but if people are talking about you, that means that you're doing something that they either wish they were doing or something that they envy, you know? And for me, that was really it. And recently it was taking my dad to a trip to Colombia. Wow. Telling my mom, hey, quit your job. I'll take care of all your expenses.
What?
That's as of recently, but that's at the amazing. Beginning. But now it's like, hey, mom, quit your job. Yeah. Do you want to spend time with your granddaughter? You know, like those are the things that for me is like, oh, damn, like
you can actually do those things that you dream
about. And then also like being able to take a vacation whenever the hell I want to take a vacation.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's what I love to do. Like for me, like that's what I love to do.
Travel. Yeah, you do love to travel.
Like I ask people, what would you do if money and currency didn't exist?
I bet you people don't even know how to answer that.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah. They're like, never thought of it.
Like, and one thing that I always like, I notice is like, ask somebody who they are, they're more likely going to answer by saying, you know, I'm Corey Packer. Yeah. Or I'm Jonah Gomez. No. Who are you? And they're going to be like, oh, well, I work at IT. No. Who are you? And a lot of people can't identify who they are. For me, it's like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a family man, and, you know, I'm a philanthropist. Like, I want to give back. Mm-hmm. You know, eventually, like, my dream would be like have a building or some sort of street named after me for giving back to a community so much, because that's what, for me, that's what it's all about. Like, I don't want to be doing this if I can't leave the world a better place than what I found it in. Like, there's no point. There's no point in me doing this. I'd rather just go get a job if I'm making this money and I can't help those around me. Like, you know, it's not worth it. So leaving that imprint is definitely something that means the world to me, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
That's awesome. So, all right, so kind of back to your circle, right? So, like, I know you've had a bunch of friends and people that you've talked to that, you know, there's certain conversations you and I can have that you can have with other people, that I can have with other people, that when I go back home, or when you go back home, or when you go back to people that maybe aren't going in the maybe the way they want to go, or the way that they think they should go, or whatever. Do you think, like, when you're normally talking to them about something that might come off like, damn, like he thinks he's better than me, whatever. But that's just your everyday life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you think that's something that I've gone through. I know you've gone through. So that's a common thing that when you start getting successful and you start doing things, when you go back home and when you talk to people that aren't doing the same things you're doing, you're gonna sound like a pompous asshole sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So like, how would you tell someone to kind of like deal with that as an entrepreneur?
Well, the thing is, like, if you're doing things with good intention and you're doing things from like your heart and you're trying to genuinely help somebody else, then don't allow those opinions to like bring you down, because at the end of the day, you're on two different levels.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do is you're trying to bring that person, you know, whether it be that old friend of yours from high school or back in the day, and you're trying to bring them to your level. You know, there are going to be a lot of disagreements because that's the reason why they're there and you're here, you know? And so for me, like at first it was a little difficult, but like I said, I don't really hang out with a lot of people that I used to before because they're still in the same place they were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's like something that for me, it took me some time to understand, because like I'm always trying to like push this positivity. I'm always trying to push this motivational stuff. And people are like, oh man, like, you know, you just talk all this stuff. Like, you know, you're always trying to be motivational, but you have to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You can't just read quotes on Instagram and on Facebook and expect, oh, I read this, like, all right, things are going to come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's constant. It's a constant work. It's something that's always, you always need to improve yourself. And for those that think that, oh, I'm better than them, no. I mean, I'll make it clear right now. We are all the same. You know, I treat a janitor the same way I treat a CEO. Money doesn't make you any better than anybody else. You and I are the same. We're human. At the end of the day, it's not about race. It's not about your job title. We are all human. We are all one race. And I wish like people would understand that concept.
Yeah.
But too many people are focused on like the wrong things instead of trying to like motivate each other. They're more worried about bringing people down. And for me, it's like if negativity is constantly coming out of your mouth, that's toxic for me.
100%.
You know, it's like I tell, like one of the analogies I gave in one of my podcasts was like the whole flu. Like when people have the flu, you try to stay away from that person, all right? Because it's contagious.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like negativity. Negativity is contagious. Whereas if you hang out with people that are positive, like you, you know, myself, we're going to uplift each other and we're going to make each other better.
Yep.
And the positivity that I tell you, you're not going to take it in a way that somebody who doesn't want to make themselves better do it. And it's hard though, because at the end of the day, those are people that you grew up with.
Yeah.
But you also have to understand, it's like, hey, like I'm trying to help you out. You may see it as me being, or think that I'm being better. No, it's not that I'm better than you, because we're equal. It's just, I'm just trying to make you see things from a different lens, you know? And if you don't want to take it, that's fine. Like, cause I always try to like push it on people, but you can't, because everybody's different. And at the end of the day, like you can't force someone to do something that they don't want to do. And what's the saying? Like you can show a horse to the water.
Can't teach them how to drink.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's misery loves company. Like all that shit's so true, man. Like you can't, you know, and I'm the reverse of that. I'm like, if you teach me how to, what's the fishing one?
Teach me how to fish. I can, you know,
eat for a day.
Or if you teach somebody how to fish, they can feed for
whatever.
Forever. Yeah.
That's like my shit. Yeah.
You edit that.
Yeah. So where could people find you on social media?
Vision Hustle Grow. That's
Instagram?
like the on IG, and I'll be having a YouTube channel coming out probably the next week or two, under Vision Hustle Grow. And just so to know what Vision Hustle Grow is, it's a motivational platform where we're trying to motivate and create a positive movement and pretty much inspire entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs, anybody who may have a dream of starting their own business, to execute on their dreams, block out any negativity, and, you know, join us, reach out to me. You know, we've always talked about it. I always have random people hit me up. Hey, I'm thinking about starting this. And there's nothing that makes me happier than trying to help somebody achieve what they want to achieve and achieve their goals. Because it's hard. I mean, you can think about when you first started this, or when you graduated high school, like you have those good friends. But at the end of the day, we're all growing.
Of course. And
it's difficult for us to, you know, like we can't all do the same thing, you know, and some people are going to take different routes.
Yeah.
And you can try to bring them back, but you got to be careful because if your foundation is not solid and you're trying to help other people, it's easy for you to get dragged right back into that negative environment.
Easy way out.
But yeah, Vision Hustle Grow. You can find us on there. And
what about the detail?
Oh, the detailing, Esciato Detailing, Esciato Detailing ATX. We're in Austin, DC, and we have an affiliate location in Boston called All Star Mobile Detailing. And I'm partnering up with different detailers this year around the country, helping them out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, good luck on coming through, bro.
I appreciate you inviting me, and I had a great time. And best of luck with this venture.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
I know you're gonna kick ass.
You gotta come through next time. You're in DC. We'll talk about.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about guns or whatever. Texas.
Talk about Texas. Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I appreciate it, and I'm proud of you. Like,
thanks, man.
It's been a couple. I mean, it's been
at
like
least.
5-6 years, and seeing you start from where you started.
Yeah.
And having this dream and this vision, and now like running your different companies and starting this podcast is awesome.
I know, thank you, man.
And that for me is like, that's why you got to hang around with people that have the same vision and hustle, because hit me up, hey, I'm in town, I'm gonna make time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's not like, hey, let's go party, let's go pop bottle. That's different. Like let's get this stuff going. Yeah. Let's motivate each other. Let's help each other grow. And I'm proud of you. I'm excited to see where this is gonna go, where Powerhouse Marketing is gonna go, and all that. And yeah, man, best of luck.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Keep kicking ass,
Appreciate
dude.
You.
I'm proud of you, man.
I'm
for real, man. It's not easy to start this stuff.
No,
everybody people talk about it, and a lot of people don't do it.
I know.
So keep kicking ass.
I know that it's a hard thing to put yourself, like audios. I think is easier, not easier.
Oh yeah, because you're not having to worry about.
Yeah, it's just less of a production.
Well, this was like the whole concept, the idea that I had originally.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's too hard.
And this is
like,
audio.
Let's buy the mic. Drinking a beer.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of E for Explicit Podcast. I'm Corey, and I'll see you next time.